Hey everybody, Luxinda Swirl here. Welcome back to my Paper and Other Obsessions channel. This is going to be a paper related video today. I've probably said a million times on both this channel and the other channel, the Resin Tumbler channel, that I am not a fine artist. I think that's been established. But I'm saying it again because even though I consider myself totally incapable of producing anything that's recognizable, I have stumbled across a video, actually a whole channel recently, that convinced me I should give this a try. That maybe, just maybe, following this person's directions, I can produce something that people might recognize. I don't believe it for a second. I'm already going into this thinking it's going to be a fail because that's the kind of person I am. We're going to give it a try anyway. And of course, I have put this video off till the last possible second because I keep thinking of a million other things I want to be doing than making an idiot of myself on camera for the world to see, trying to do a watercolor picture. But here we go anyway. I am using my Rainbow Colero watercolor set. These are actually iridescent. You have seen me use these paints on black, but the rainbow set actually shows up pretty well on white as well. So here's how we're gonna do this. This is watercolor paper. It's called Ms. You Love. I think that's how you would say that. I got it off Amazon. Again, links below. This is an Arteza water brush. I will link to these below. Nothing sponsored, just links for you to check out if you're interested. We're gonna start by making a small circle, which of course, because this is white paper, you can't probably see it. But this is called the wet on wet method. Like, I know what I'm talking about, but that's what people call it. Pretty self-explanatory. The paper's wet in one spot and we are going to add more wet watercolor to it. But basically I'm going for a general circle shape here. Now we want to pick just one color to start. Doesn't matter what. We're just going to pick a color and put it on our brush. And using the wet on wet, we are going to put that along the bottom of our circle. So it just sort of flows into the water that you've already put down there. And we'll get another color, and it can be anything. I mean, I was initially going to say it could be complementary, but I don't think it matters. So I'll just make something that's obviously different from that color, and I'll go for blue, and we'll make this sort of the top. That is supposed to be blue. Looks like it's got purple mixed in with it. Should be blue, but there, that's a little more blue. And these two top and bottom sections can touch. That's not a problem. Go with a little sort of blending thing in the middle there like that. Get a little bit more of the first color, and I'm going to try and do a little flick thing up on this side, or a series of little flick things like that. Probably too much, but since I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just gonna do some flick things. Okay. Now she did this next part with more paint, but it requires an awfully fine hand. So I'm going to switch to a paint marker for this. And I wish I had one with a finer nib on it. I don't. But we're going to draw a line here like that. And another line here like that. Oops. Now you've done it, Cindy. But here we are. We're getting into me not being able to draw lines. And then up here, we're going to extend this just a little bit. Like that. And then we're gonna let it dry. Now you can probably already guess where this is going because in spite of the fact that I have no clue what I'm doing, it does already kind of look sort of like what I was going for. So she did 3 in a row, and by the time she was done with the third, she came back and worked on the first one for details. I'm a lefty and I've already set this up so that I'm gonna just make a mess. So I'm gonna put this aside and get out a different paper to do the next one on. Maybe start on the right-hand side of the paper this time. Let's see if we can come up with some more bodies. All right, make our wet circle. So this gal who has this channel that I got this from, I will of course link to her channel below, and I'll put the name of it here on the screen. She has a whole series of videos in which she makes very simple ideas for getting recognizable images using watercolor. For example, these are supposed to be birds, and she has one for little kitty cats, and she has one for, I think, maybe bunnies. And she really does make it look pretty simple. She just explains the steps so well. So again, if you're interested in trying your hand at watercolor, but you never came up with anything that looked right to you before, like me, give her channel a little look. I think you'll be impressed. I do not have a regular watercolor set. I wish I did, because I think that would look better. I mean, this is a watercolor set, but it's not your traditional, all the colors, bigger collection that many people have. I probably had a million of them when I was a kid. I do have a nice set of gouache dry paint from Caran d'Ache. Is that how you say that? And I thought about getting that out, but the whole gist of this particular video of hers that I linked to below is the fact that she was doing it with watercolor. She does others with gouache. I'm not saying you can't do this with gouache. I just figured if I'm going to try and recreate what she taught in that video, maybe I should use the material she used. Okay, now I'll put these aside. We'll let them dry. I'll meet you back here in a sec. And we're back. This one's still a little wet there, but the other two are dry, so I'm gonna continue on. There's not a whole lot left to this one. The point of these is the simplicity, which is the part I really appreciate. So this little thing here becomes the beak. And then you put an eye on it. And she had this whole thing that I'm not going to go into about, you can take a piece of parchment paper, tracing paper, something you can basically see through, and draw a little black circle on that, and then you can move it around over the bird to see where it looks best. And then you find that spot that makes it look like the cutest bird in the universe, and that's where you actually draw in the eye, which is a great idea. I just opted not to do it that way this time. So there's my first little birdie. And I have to say, in spite of the fact that I have no clue what I'm doing, that does sort of look like a little birdie. I wouldn't mistake that for a rabbit or anything. Like I said, this one's still a little wet, but this one's okay. So let me see if I need to draw a slightly more realistic birdie legs. As I think about the birdies I've watched, for one thing, that's way too long a leg. So there's that problem. But their little legs come out. They have like little knees way back here, almost tucked underneath them. So their legs come out sort of an angle. Not like that, but you get what I'm saying, I think. And then I didn't make the little beak on this one, so we'll just draw one in. I do think this is a cute idea. Well, I have to say I'm amusing myself, if nothing else. You can also go in with a pen, either white or black. I think she did both. You can use a white pen once the eye's dry to draw the tiniest little white dot there to give it like a reflection in the eye. And you can also use either black or white to sort of outline the feathers on the tail, just to make them look, I don't know, more obvious, I guess. Yeah, really deformed tail feathers. This is too funny for words. Okay, I'm gonna get out the gouache set. Okay, here's my gouache set. Now, as I recall, when Anthony Crammon swatched this set, this exact same set over on his channel, and I will link to that below, these were the two colors that he and I both thought were to die for.
Oh, that blue's gorgeous. Oh, I want to marry that blue. Oh, and I want to cheat on you with this green.
Put them aside, and I'll bring you back momentarily when everybody's dry, and we'll see how the parents turn out. Okay, we're back. We have Mom and Dad. Bird. I'm just gonna try and finish them up. Okay, well, I'm clearly not going to turn into a fine artist anytime soon. Yeah, Mom is the least adorable of the lot, and I think that's the beak placement. I like these. I have to say that for my very first attempt to paint something recognizable with watercolors, not a medium I'm the least bit good at or adept with, you can sort of figure out what they are. I do like the iridescence of the baby birds, because we use the iridescent paints for that, so yeah, duh. Mom is iridescent also, and Dad is just a big hunkin' blue-green thing, isn't he? So what can you do with this? Well, if you practice enough that you can actually create these so they're what you want each time, you can put them on the front of a card. You could put a whole bunch of them on the front of a card and say something cute. You guys help me out. What cute sayings could we use with these silly birds? I think the beak placement is really a big deal. I like these two a lot. This one's okay. Mom isn't doing it for me, and neither is this. And it's strictly the beak is pointing forward instead of pointing up. Something about that makes them cuter. Thank you so much for joining me. Stay safe. I'll see you in the next video.